My name's Sam. I was one of Joey's roommates back in the 90s when me and Brian were living together. And there's a lot of craziness that went on in our household back then. Where did I come from? I'm not going to talk about any of that. But I am going to talk about Joey's bachelor party. And now, before anybody gets too scared about this, it was really benign. Joey put together a big fishing trip in Montana for us all. And we went out there, and granted, there was a lot of beer that was drank during that time. But it was a good time, and it ended up being like a group of his friends and a group of his relatives, and we're all out there in this cabin in the woods with a stream running behind it. Well, one of the last days we were out there, we put together a game of wiffle ball. And I was reminded about this last night because we were looking over some pictures, and my friend Neil was like, "Hey, where was this taken?" And I was like, "Oh, that was the Montana trip." And so anyways, we're out playing this game of wiffle ball, and we all have cans of beer and stuff. And I don't even remember who was ahead or who was on the teams, but I do remember that at one point, ball gets hit, and it's coming to Gary. And Gary's having to backpedal and go for it, and Gary's Joe's dad. Well, Gary kind of fumbles over his feet and goes down, and it was like watching a leaf fall in the woods. It was just so slow that you weren't really that super concerned, but Gary didn't just spring back up right afterwards. And so I'm thinking in my head, I'm going, man, maybe he's kind of hurt. And then you look over at Joey, and Joey is doubled over laughing. And he laughs so hard he throws up. And that was just kind of indicative of Joe's personality, was that, yeah, if something looked funny to him, he wasn't holding back. And that's pretty much it. That's what I got to say. That's one of my favorite memories of him. But Neil brought it up last night, and I was like, oh yeah, I totally remember that. So, I love you, Joe.
Hey there. We have been living next to the Williams family for the past 5 years, and I've had the opportunity to play music with Joe for the past 5 years as a bandmate. And we had a lot of opportunities to talk. He would come over to my house and we'd sit out back. And a lot of long drives and a lot of late nights. And he talked about every single one of you. Work, South Dakota, family, friends from the past. He wanted to know all of my friends and would hop the fence to meet people constantly. And he would talk about them. And I know he'd smile to see you all here today.
I just want to read this. When Joey and I first got to Portland, he started working at this place called RSP, which just seemed real vague and weird to me, and I had no idea what they did. But we'd always hear about RSP, but apparently what they did was they put together kind of like office furniture, like cubicles and stuff. And there was a lot of characters working at this place, RSP, and we started hearing about this guy, Terry. And Joey and Terry became like these weird frat buddies or something. They were, it was like all of a sudden, like, you know, I was just always hearing about Terry. Me and Terry doing this. Who's this Terry guy? Well, Terry is the guy who introduced Joey to fly fishing. And it was like giving a junkie heroin or something. Because when Joey would find something that was challenging and it was a new thing, he would just automatically immerse himself into it. But Terry wrote this for me to read. As I sat heavy in heart hearing about my friend Joey and that he had passed on, I cried and I thought to myself how I would miss him. I remember the first time I took Joey fly fishing and how his eyes lit up. I know he was hooked on fly fishing. He went overboard. But that's what I loved about him. The first time I met Stacy, I knew that she would be the love of his life. I met his brothers while working at Reliable Service People and got to love them like brothers. I got to meet Gary, his dad, in Montana, and some of his friends, and knew that they were going to be a part of my family too for the rest of my life. I love you, Joey, and we'll miss you. Bro, your bro, Terry. Thanks, Terry. We love you too.
I should say something real quick.
Hi, everybody. I didn't hang out with Joey a lot, but I knew Joey's closest friends, and I knew the story of his traveling out here. And it's so weird that I knew these people that were from South Dakota. There was like this group of guys that rocked, that were from South Dakota. And you were talking about grumpy mornings. When I met Joey, it seemed like a grumpy morning was going on a lot. In fact, I didn't think that Joey liked me very much at all. And that wasn't the truth. The truth was that, you know, I don't think he could have really cared if I was alive or dead. You know, it's like he met, you know, if you liked somebody, he seemed to really latch onto him. If he didn't like somebody, he really didn't seem to pay a lot of attention. But the most important thing that struck me with Joey was that I started seeing Joey around about the time of the profound event in Joey's life, and that was when he started hanging out with you. And something happened to Joey. He wasn't the same person anymore, and Joey suddenly struck me as the person who had found what everybody is looking for. Everybody is looking for that. Not everybody finds that. It struck me as though something had been missing from this guy's life, and that it had come to him, and he had grabbed a hold of it, and he kind of understood what it meant, and he lived up to it. And that's how he struck me every time I saw him after that whole thing. You know, I'd see him and hang out with him, and man, he was friendly, jovial, incredibly talkative, and I was like, who is this guy? Like the first time that happened, I was like, who is this guy? And so you know, he taught me something in that that can happen to everybody, and then when that does happen, not to take it for granted, and that's a really big lesson for a lot of people. And thanks for being here, everybody. It's huge that everybody's here. Just the number of people and the number of people he touched. It's amazing.
Hello, everyone. So, Joey, lots of stories. I could tell a lot of stories, but, well, not as many as a lot of these guys, but many stories. But the one that always sticks out in my mind, and actually I mentioned this before in our nights hanging out recently, is that, well, when I first met Joey, like Hans too, like, he didn't take to me right away, mostly because I was his bartender down at the Lutz, and I was like, dude, you can't do that. And he would just look at me and laugh, like, whatever, dude. I'm gonna do it, shut up. So I'd always tell these guys, all his buddies, like, what's with him, you know, like, why? And they're like, he's just Joey, man, that's all we can say. So, but the day we really connected, both figuratively and literally, is when he laid me out on the football field. I hadn't played football since I was like 12 years old, never was really into football. These guys talked me into it, and I must have been like a Thanksgiving turkey to him or something. Because, I mean, I think everyone else saw it coming but me, and so anyways, I'm running this way, and you know, it's like a moving camera, like a cop's camera, it's going like this. And all of a sudden, the camera just gets thrown to the side, and I hear this, "Oh my God!" coming from about 6 different guys. And so I literally fall back, my head in like a lawn chair just goes back over, and I come through kind of, and I see like this, it's like circle of people, and I'm like, am I alive? And Joey's just like, you know, he wants to laugh so bad. You know, and he's just like making sure I'm okay first, and then I'm like, okay, it's cool. And then everyone was like, holy shit, dude, I can't believe that. But after that moment, he kind of gave me this look, and it was like, we kind of got along from there. He was just like, I just needed to deal one out to you, buddy. You know, make sure you can take it. And I went to work that night and actually bartended in an office chair, in a roller chair, back and forth. And he came in and he was like, sorry. So, I'll miss him. He was great. Great force of life, that guy.